Come on, let's see what's happening. Let's get on the go with Tiffany Patton. On the go with Tiffany Patton.
Travel, beauty, fashion, entertainment, arts, fitness, celebrity interviews, and inspiring, engaging conversations with some of the best new and old music around. All this and more when you tune into On the Go with Tiffany Patton podcast. Now, here's your host, Tiffany Patton.
Good afternoon. You're listening to On the Go and watching now On the Go with Tiffany Patton, your link to love, life, and liberty. And I have an amazing show for you guys today. This is the eve or the week eve of a very, very important week, a very important day. And that date being November 6th. November 6th is a very monumental day because it is the day that everyone, please hear me, everyone should be going out to vote. Not one soul should be left at home. You have from literally 6 a.m., I believe, until, I want to say 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You have literally all day. So even if you have to go to work, you can go after work. If you go into work later, you can go before work. If you're a stay-at-home mom, it's like, okay, well, I got the kids. As soon as you get the kids off to school, you should be making a beeline for the polls. November 6th, I cannot stress enough how important that day is. And because of that, I have two very important guests that I am so excited to have here on the show. First being the very beautiful, as you can see to my left, is Brittany Sharp. She is going for a very special seat that is in the Detroit public school system. If anyone has been keeping abreast of, there's been a lot of different changes, some not so good for the Detroit Metropolitan Area School Board. And we want to be able to put great candidates in those seats so that we can cause changes for our youth. And she is definitely one of them. It is the Sharp vote. Make the Sharp vote. And I even love her tagline, playing off of her last name, Brittany Sharp. And she is here with me today. I'm so excited. We'll be speaking with her because we're going to have the first conversation that we really need to have. And that being, why is it important to vote? Because so many people say, well, you know, I don't really have to vote because my vote doesn't matter. Well, yes, your vote does matter. And so many people think that it does not. And so I have someone else who is live with us, and he is just a superb person. I'm proud to say that I literally know him, but he's been doing great things in and around the United States for the NAACP. He is NAACP's Mid-Atlantic Regional Field Director. It is no other than Jonathan McKinney. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, Tiffany, how are you?
I am wonderful. I'm so glad to have you guys here. Okay, so I have Brittany Sharp.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Brittany, how are you?
I'm well. How's it going?
I cannot complain. Just busy trying to get through these last 5 days.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, okay, I want to start the conversation, and either Brittany or Jonathan, whoever would like to answer this question first. When we pose the question, why is this Tuesday such an important day? Why is it important to vote? What would be your answer to that?
Just didn't want to speak over.
Oh, no. Brittany, I'll go ladies first.
Well, it's important because a lot of people think that when you're talking about the presidential elections that that's the only important. But that's on the federal, nationwide level. But the voting that is about to take place now is actually affecting us citywide. And even when you're talking about Congress and state reps and things of that sort, things that really does take precedence on things that is happening in our cities. And so it's so important that we are abreast of what's going on. Even when you're talking about the Charter Commission being back up, this is the Constitution for pretty much our city and what's really happening, and even the school boards when it's coming to the district, as well as like Michigan State and U of M. All of these things play a part when you're talking about education and how we are bringing up our students and having them to go forth as citizens. If we don't take the right precaution now, then what are we setting ourselves up for to receive when we're not pouring in them the right way? So
that's good.
For me, we really have to make sure that we're out there getting the vote out and actually being in charge of our votes, you know, and making sure that our voices are being heard.
Jonathan, you kind of do it on a more national level, but you make people aware in all cities. Tell us why you feel it's so important.
Well, as you know, Tiffany, I'm from Detroit, and we grew up kind of in an era where politics might not have been the best friend of the citizens of the city of Detroit. But since I've had an opportunity to live quite a few places across the country and still have my roots being there in Detroit, one thing I've learned is the importance of the elections on the local level. So often we say, especially in poor communities, that it doesn't affect me. I often say when I speak to people like at the CBC or different places like that, you know, what do we say to a mother who might be on government assistance who believes that whether she votes or not, she's still going to get her check? We're to the point now in the society that we live in this country where it's going to start affecting us down to, you know, your individual households. You have people that are making the decisions, and we can use the people who in Michigan, because we're all very familiar with the Flint water crisis. That was elected officials, local elected officials, that decided to change that water source that poisoned those people in Flint. So we have to understand that these elections, and we have to educate ourselves. And we have to take the time to educate each other so we can understand the responsibility of people that are running for public office, not just the person, because a lot of times we vote for a party or we vote for a color, but instead of voting for a party or for a color, I think we should look at the job responsibility of a person that we're of the position that we're voting for, and then find the proper person that we believe can fill that position.
Now, this is something that I want to touch on really quickly. Jonathan, it was brought to my attention that in Georgia, there were like 50,000 registrations that were not taken into consideration, that the NAACP literally had to kind of step in to make sure that they were doing right by those who are registered voters in the state of Georgia, or in the state of Georgia. Can you talk about that a little bit?
A little bit. Okay. I'm not very, very, very versed on it, but what happened? You have the Secretary of State who's running for governor, and for those of you who don't know the Secretary of State's responsibility, he actually or she is responsible for those registered voters. So if you have people that are getting purged from voting rolls, or the Secretary of State in this case did not accept over 53,000 eligible voters, people who registered to vote, who turned in their paperwork on time to the proper places. Yes. It's voter suppression, blatant voter suppression right in front of our faces. And so the NAACP, and that's one of the few lawsuits that we filed so far, on a local level, and the national office stepped in to kind of give a little bit of support to into the local branches to make sure those 53,000 people actually can exercise their franchise, whether it's early election or coming up this Tuesday.
And I'm so glad that you guys were able to do so. And I also want to congratulate you guys on also winning. I think there was also one that went out for Tennessee, and it looks like you guys just won that one the other day. Congratulations. How do we make sure that that does not happen here in the Detroit metropolitan area? Because we have amazing candidates like Brittany Sharp, who needs to make sure that those who go out to vote, that their votes count. What do we do as registered voters? How do we ensure or make sure that our vote is being counted?
Well, the first thing we have to do is pay attention, right? We have to make sure that our nonprofit organizations like the NAACP or like APRI, A. Philip Randolph rather, that take the responsibility of registering people to vote. We have to make sure those registrations are in the system, and the people actually get their voter registration cards. With the way that this work is set up today, which is civic engagement, the way civic engagement is set up today, it's very much data driven. So not only can I register voters, but then I can actually go back in the system that I'm a part of and make sure those voters are actually registered in the system, and then later on I can make sure they actually exercise their franchise. So it's just up to us. One of the things we've gotten away from is being a community.
True.
We have to go back to being a community and making sure we are taking care of each other. And you said something earlier as far as making sure on Tuesday everyone gets out to vote. I want to push that a little farther. Again, it's about community. We want to make sure that you take somebody to vote with you.
Yes.
We actually did a campaign where we said we want you to text 5 people, call 5 people, take 5 people with you. Make sure people actually exercise on their franchise. But that's what it's going to take more than anything. It's going to be a community effort for us to make sure that our neighbors are registered, that their registration actually has gone through, our cousins, Pookie and them, everybody. We need to make sure that it's actually happening.
Yeah. Okay, so the Sharp vote. Brittany Sharp is running for Detroit Public Schools Community District. And your tag is safety, or your 3 points, I think, that you stand by, is safety, accountability, and exposure. Talk to us about those 3 aspects as it relates to you, your candidacy, and how important it is to the Detroit public school system.
Right. So as somebody who has taught math over 7 years to the students who are from the Detroit public school system, these are pretty much the 3 pillars that I use for success in my classrooms, and even for the program that I was able to be like the lead over.
Okay.
And so in that program, safety is number 1, well-being is number 1, making sure that we have whole students. I think sometimes it get brushed over when we have our students inside the schools and say, well, they're not gaining information, they're not being able to retain this information, but are we setting them up in environments that are conducive to learning?
Sure.
So coming inside the classroom or even inside the school, because I'm not far removed from the district. I've been a product of this current district, being just 10 years removed out of it, opposed to some of the other people. And for me, it's when you're coming inside of the school, the first thing that you see is officers, and you see metal detectors, and you see people yelling at you, telling you to tuck your shirt in and pull your IDs out. And it looks as if it's set up, to gear you for prison.
I was just about to say, like, you're going to be incarcerated. Yes.
Yeah, and you wear these uniforms, and kids are getting suspended or fined or whatever if you're not in the alignment of this dogmatic environment. And for me, when I was in this program, Math Corps, is safety, being yourself and making sure that we're pushing the agenda, that we're setting the environment for you in which it is safe, not only because you have all these officers, but safe because it's a well-trusted environment. You know that you can go to adults who really care about you, who are setting you up, and you have a rapport with the people that you're with. And I think sometimes the psychological aspect is brushed over, but you can't ignore these relationships. You can't ignore that our students need some type of attention. So I'm actually pushing for mental health mental health awareness as well.
That's very good.
And making sure that we have
Very
more
good.
social workers inside of the schools, and that if they're in the schools, that people know that they're there, and
Yeah.
that they're being relevant in the schools, and that they're bringing this awareness, and that there is not just for the students, but also because there's burnout with the teachers as well. So there needs to be programming for teachers as well as people who are just in the school, period. Not only that, making sure that the buildings and the infrastructure is conducive for our students as well, making sure that in the summertime that there's enough air conditioning, and in the wintertime that, kids aren't freezing to death. I ain't gonna say to death, but freezing over.
Yeah.
And we don't want them to freeze to death.
Right.
But not just that, but making sure that there's also more counselors, and that people are being physically as well as emotionally accountable to our students. And so with that, I also have this accountability piece, which is a pillar of mine, of being accountable on all levels. So the district being accountable to the teachers, and the teachers being accountable to the district, and bringing in the parents, bringing in more parental involvement, and also making sure that the same standard that we're holding our students up to, that we're actually ourselves are making sure that we're accountable to them, and not just making decisions and saying like, well, this would be good in 5 years, but how does this affect the students that we have today? Because the students that we have today do matter. So when you're talking about switching up curriculums, how can we do this in such a way that we're not saying that, eventually it'll come into play and things will roll out, but you're talking about a generation right here that will be lost in the system, and then potentially, set up for what? To be out here in the streets and to be coined as delinquents. And not just that, when you have that accountability, that safety, we need to make sure that we are actually providing our students with the valuable resources that we tell them, when we tell them broaden your horizons, and the world is your oyster, but you're only giving me is like 3 programs, and you're telling me I have to go into technology and engineering, which is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But what if I want to get into sports? What if I want to activate the other side of my brain and use the fullness of my brain?
That's good.
What if I want to, participate in the arts? What if I want to participate in theater, or even bringing in more community partners and relevant mentorship? Is somebody who I'm speaking to it as a student, is what they're speaking to me, is it relevant for where I want to go? Or are you just pushing people on me? How do we set our students up for real success? And so for me, the board is actually there to implement that type of policy, where you can actually talk about the safety and bring in programming for the teachers, in which they're not being burnt out, but they're making sure that they're prepared in time enough for the students, and that the curriculum is relevant for our students, and that it's teachable for the parents, and it's teachable for the teachers.
That's good.
So I'm looking forward to it. Somebody's coming out of district, these are the things that they're going to pretty much talk about.
Well,
your experience.
I will just say this, and I know it's not like a, how they do the debates on television, and you watch and you see, and a lot of times you hear the moderator ask a question of the candidate, and there's an answer given. However, the answer is quite vague, and it still kind of leaves you wondering, but what side are you really on? Where is your heart? So we can see if I need to vote for you because your moral standing, your heart, your issues match my issues. Most time we don't get a straightforward answer, and you, Ms. Sharp, have you were extremely thorough and very focused on what points matter to you. And so for me, even as a parent, I think those who see this and hear this will be able to say, in the Detroit metropolitan area, at least they will know exactly where you stand for their children, because not enough times we hear the fullness. I think we hear things that we think or they think we want to hear.
Yeah.
Versus really where you are.
And I think it's important to take in consideration what people may want to hear, but also standing on integrity about what it is that you're standing on.
Yes.
Because I think at times I get reprimanded. I feel a little reprimand when I talk about so strong about making sure that our students are being pushed, and that there's no ulterior, intentions for me or any other motives, but to make sure that these kids are set and that they're set up for success, and whatever that is may be, whatever that is for them. So when you're talking about career education, career tech education, bringing in those VOTEX programming, or Again, you're talking about the sports or the music, or it might be that nursing program. But I would like to see our kids be exposed to more.
Jonathan, what is your stance in that when you hear candidates like Brittany Sharp? From your standpoint and what you do, and if you even have a moment to explain your role as the regional director, Mid-Atlantic Regional Field Director, what your role is at the NAACP so that we are informed and educated.
Well, my role is pretty simple. The NAACP is separated out into 7 regions across the country. I am over the field department for Virginia, Maryland, and D.C.
Okay.
So all of the needs of our units, I make sure they are well trained and have the resources to do the work that they have to do in their local communities. The NAACP is a local organization, so the Detroit branch is who we would contact if something happens in Detroit. A lot of people call the national office, not understanding that we refer to our local branches because they have the connections there locally. So I try to make sure our local branches actually have what they need to be successful. Another thing I do for the NAACP is I am the there's a there's a program called the Voter Activation Network, which is the main resource that Obama used to win in 2008 and 2012. It's a public access program, and I am the administrator, one of the 2 administrators for the NAACP. So I grant people access, train them on the system, and show them how to contact voters. So of course I've been very, very busy with that here recently. Now your first question, before you ask me what I did, I can't remember. Can you refresh?
Well, when you hear candidates like Brittany Sharp and her viewpoint and where she stands for the Detroit Public Schools and her heart, how does that make you feel as someone who is very not only strategic but very hands-on in the process of voting and those going out to vote and going to the polls and making sure that they don't just sit at home because of them feeling that their vote does not matter? How does that feel to hear candidates like Brittany Sharp?
Well, one of the things that I often say in the NAACP, we actually say it, is that we don't have permanent friends, nor do we have permanent enemies, only permanent interests. One of the things that I said earlier, or another thing that I stand on, is the education of our people when it comes down to what people are voting for instead of who people are voting for. Because remember, and this is no knock on Ms. Sharp at all, but remember, we all heard Kwame Kilpatrick say great things, and we all stood up for him and activated ourselves for him at that time. So a lot of times it's not necessarily, like you said, sometimes it's about what people want to hear, but you have to kind of know a person. You have to see a person, look at a person's resume sometimes. You have to look at what the person's responsibility is going to be in that office, and then say, okay, she's perfect for what she's being tasked to do. I don't think we know enough about the responsibility of elected officials to make educated decisions. So, but from hearing her part, from hearing what she said, and from hearing her passion about what's going on in the city and making sure the kids get equal education across the board and get the resources in the city, that's all things that are necessary.
Yes.
Her pillars of safety and accountability, I don't remember the last one, but definitely safety and accountability. And what was the last one?
Exposure.
And exposure.
Yes.
Safety, accountability, and exposure. Those are the things that will actually heal the city, and it's something that should probably be taken not just as her pillar, but a pillar for anyone who's running for public office, not just in the city of Detroit, but across the state of Michigan and even across the nation. So when you start talking about someone that's willing to stand on those things, I definitely would support them personally. But I also would make sure I'm educated in supporting them to know what I'm supporting them to do.
Of course, of course. So early voting, how do we go about that, Jonathan or Brittany? I'm not sure if either you are verse into where to go, because I've seen so many people on Instagram and on social media who said, I've already voted. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Wait, I want to vote early too. So I want to vote. So, but how are they doing that? I know you have the absentee votes, but those are normally for those who can't get out, or those who are senior citizens, or may have an illness to where they can't get to the polls. Is there a way? But see, these individuals that I saw, they're fine. They can get to the polls. So how do you go about doing it?
An excuse of why they can't get to the polls. But there are three locations in Detroit, and one is the East Campus of WC3.
Okay.
Then the West Campus, and as well as the Department of Elections on West Grand Boulevard.
Okay.
And so
I know exactly where that is. I just passed that.
The cutoff is on November 2nd.
Okay.
And they're open
So tomorrow
until like 4, I believe, on November 2nd.
Okay.
For downtown campus.
Okay. Okay, so Jonathan, early voting. How does one go about doing that? We know the different locations here in Detroit. If someone would like to do it, is there stipulations or certain things that has to happen or occur for them to be able to do so early?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Understand that early voting rules and laws are different in every state.
Okay.
So what I would suggest people do, one of the things that I think it's hard for people to hear is that you have to use your phone to educate yourself. You need to actually, I think the hardest thing about voting or early voting is actually pulling up your ballot and looking at your ballot before you go to vote. When you go vote, because it can be intimidating when you open it up and realize that it's 3 pages sometimes front and back. There are a lot of measures on the ballot that you have to take the time to read. So it's good to familiarize yourself with it before you go, whether you're early voting or you're voting on election day. I don't know. Sometimes we might think that you could just go in, press a button and come out, and it's probably going to take you about 5 minutes. But there's no real big difference when you start talking about expectation upon arrival. There's no big difference in early voting and voting on election day. You have to make sure in some places you have your identification. I live here in Maryland. Currently, I did not need my identification to vote. All I needed was to give them my name and my address and my date of birth. Once I gave them that information, I signed the receipt that they printed out, which verified all my information. They sent me over to pick up my ballot, and it took me about 10 minutes probably to read everything and make my decisions.
Okay.
So again, I think the most powerful thing you could do is to actually take the time. One of my friends actually came over last night and had me read their ballot with them. So and just ask my opinion, because you can actually print out a sample ballot. So these are the things that you want to consider before you go vote, whether it's on Tuesday or if you are able to make it in Detroit before tomorrow, COB.
Okay. So the thing that I want everyone to know is that it is extremely important. I don't care if you are in Detroit, LA, Atlanta, Maryland, Virginia, East Coast, West Coast. Please, 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 please make sure that you go out and vote. It is extremely important. We have a nation that is crying out. We have a nation right now, unfortunately, that is divided. And I am extremely, extremely torn and hurt as an individual of the United States, because it is called the United States, not the divided states. And the reason why we are divided is because we have deemed voting not important. And for those who are African American, I do have to say this: there were millions of people who lost lives just to have the right to vote, just so that you could have the right to vote. And I know, so many times they say, okay, well, we're done with the 40 acres and a mule, and we always talk about times past, but that was someone's grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother. Someone died for you to be able to have the right to vote. So how is it that we go from literally losing lives? It's that important that we would lose our lives to be able to do so, to it just being so unimportant, but yet we will still have the conversation. Yes.
Yes, and I think what you said is awesome, but I also think we need to understand that stands today. People are still losing their lives.
Yeah.
What we don't understand is, and this is just an example, if a police officer wrongfully kills someone in your city, most likely it's an elected official that has to charge that police officer or let that police officer go when if it's deemed a crime.
Yeah.
So are people still dying because we don't vote? Yes. But are people still dying because we won't put the right person in offices, or because we don't know the responsibilities of those officers? Yes. Now remember, I do this for a living, so a lot of times when things happen, the first thing people want to do is march, or they want to go talk to the mayor. Sometimes the mayor don't have the power. It's the attorney general or the district attorney. So we have to make sure that we're putting the right people in place that's going to represent us, or like the Bible said, our people are going to are suffering and dying because of lack of knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I was getting to, because so many times we say what we don't need to do, but what we really need to do is we do need to respect the fact that people then and now have lost their lives. For us to be able to vote, there's still people, Tamika Mallory's of the world, etc., are still fighting and marching and going to jail for us to have certain rights. Women, African Americans, minorities, period. There's so many different, you throw it out, there's an issue that we need to stand and allow our voices to be heard on. However, if we're not going to vote, then it's kind of like a moot point. The squeaky wheel is the one that gets the oil. So we have to make noise, and how we make noise is by making our voice count by the vote. Now, Jonathan stated something that was very important. We have to educate ourselves. Brittany Sharp is running for DPS board, and she stated over and over and over again how she stands for the education, for our students to get the education. But we ourselves first, as individuals, as those who are old enough to vote, we need to educate ourselves. It's no longer time. It's time out for being able to go to the polls and we just kind of look at the names. Oh, who have we heard, the most? Okay, I'm going to pick her. Or I know this person, so I'm going to pick them. Well, you can be picking a person that you know, but do you know what they stand for? And then later on, after you've selected them and they've won, and then they start operating in the thing that they stood on, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, I don't agree with that, but you voted for that person, and you don't know, because you're going off a popularity contest or what seems right or who's been in longer, or none of that really matters, because honestly, God raises up people daily to do a new thing and to be able to have the heart for your issue or the thing that you are passionate about or that you want to see come to pass in your local community. So yes, do we have issues with our current presidency? Yes. However, you have to take a problem and start, they say, how do you eat an elephant? Like one piece at a time. You have to start small and kind of work your way up. And small being your local community. Now, is it a small thing? No, it's huge issues in your local community. But if we can put the right people in place there, then as it goes on and it goes up the scale, then we'll continue to make the right choices, and we'll have people in places that can make the choices that we need to see a better America, and prayerfully to allow this divided States turn back into a United States, because we are a United States. We need to make a united front. And the first way we could do that is by, on Tuesday, November 6th, getting out and voting, educating ourselves and voting. You can do it prior to November 6th. It doesn't matter. From today is the first day of November. From now until the 6th, make sure that you're educating yourselves. If you do an early vote, please make sure that you know. And don't allow people to intimidate you when you go to the polls. Is there certain things that they need to do? Because I remember last year they had a lot of issues with people going to the polls and them almost being interrogated. Is there something that we can do, Jonathan or Brittany, that you know, or people that we can call possibly if we run into that issue at the polls?
What type of interrogation?
Well, the interrogation that I saw, I guess, was for, who they need to vote for. Now, I do understand that it is normal policy for their representatives to be at the polls and just encouraging people as to why they should pick their candidate. That's fine. But when you go to the point of almost to where a person does not feel safe or feels like they have to, or there'll be some type of adverse effect, that's an issue. And I saw that, and I even saw it on the news, and I was like, but I didn't even think that could be a thing that could be done. Mm-hmm. Is there a number that we can call?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Actually, there is an organization called Election Protection.
Mm-hmm.
Their telephone number is 866-OUR-VOTE.
866-OUR-VOTE. Okay, so 866-OUR-VOTE if you feel interrogated or intimidated in any way at the polls, you don't feel safe because people want you to, pick their issue, ballot, person. 866-OUR, and that's OUR, correct?
OUR-VOTE.
Our vote. Okay, and I'm sorry, Jonathan,
Correct.
Go ahead.
No, that's going to be, especially on Election Day, and even leading to Election Day. Mm-hmm. There's a team of lawyers from across the country that are going to be answering those phones. They're going to be taking those complaints, and if some of those complaints lead to legal action that's necessary, that's what they're there for.
Okay.
So we want to make sure, and this is something that the NAACP has been pushing out. I'm actually having a phone bank in my office on Election Day,
okay.
And I have, I think, 50 lawyers that are coming in to man phones on Election Day. Wow. For 866-OUR-VOTE. So, and as a matter of fact, some of those calls are going to be routed from Michigan to my office.
Good.
So if you see anything, if anybody is now let me say this.
Okay.
Provisional voting, which might throw some people off. So if you're allowed to vote, that's one thing. When I first moved here, I had lived here for a year. When I went to actually vote, I had to vote provisionally. Those votes still count. But if you are experiencing any form of voter intimidation, we all know what intimidation looks like. Yes. We all know what when we feel like we're not being treated fairly. Again, that number 866-OUR-VOTE or 866-687-8683.
Give us a number one more time.
They can call. It's 866-687-8683.
Okay. Brittany, and I'm gonna go on a break. I thank you both for being on the show, and I actually want to kind of continue because I don't understand how can we get to our millennials? What is it? What message can we say here? What message can we put on social media that will draw the millennials and allow them to know and understand how very important it is to go out? And then, if you have a strategy for, Generation X or the baby boomers, for them to go out, because a lot of them are stubborn. And I love them because, I'm in that age range. However, they're stubborn, and they think that they truly believe that there's nothing that they can do, that they're, how is it that me going to the polls is going to make a difference? What message do we say? What can we do to encourage them to go out to vote on the 6th?
Oh, for me, I think
You that right now?
Yes. Now, I think Brittany was starting, but yes, both of you.
Go for it,
Go ahead,
Jonathan.
Brittany, please.
Okay. I was just going to
please,
say
please.
meeting them where they're at, you know, because the millennials are not more prone to pick up the newspaper or watch the news. So
True.
they're on social media. So there's been a lot of campaigning that I've been seeing go across the Instagrams or the Snapchats or the Facebooks and making it short and sweet because the attention span is a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But also making it where it's relevant for us because I'm a millennial myself.
Yes.
And also making it where it's like you can really get this point across that your voice matters, and you keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting, because if you give up, then of course you will never win. But if you keep fighting and you keep chiseling, then something has to happen. And it's not just voting on November 6th, but it's also taking a stand daily, and also making action and being educated daily, and making
That's
sure
good.
that when we are speaking not just to older people who are voters, but taking this conversation to our friends and taking this conversations even inside of the schools to me, because a lot of the students, they look at me and they say, well, you're voting or you're running for office, aren't you too young? They don't know that you don't have to have a degree. You can be 18 years old. You have to be a resident of Detroit. And this is something that you can too hedge for. But are we setting our students up and setting up people my age who are millennials to get more involved? Have we been bred for that? And I don't think that we have. But being
good.
educated to me is something that's important for us to do and take that initiative, but also for the older generations as well.
Love it. Love it. Jonathan?
Well, seeing that I too am a millennial,
Oh,
Get it?
okay. I'm just going to say okay to that. That's all I'm saying. Woo.
they don't know.
Oh, yeah, I see. And that's why I said that's all I'm saying. I said okay. Millennial. Oh.
But with that, the right thing was stated. We have to meet people where they are. If we think back to the Obama campaign, Obama had, and it actually upset me at the time. Obama had various campaigns within his campaign. He had women for Obama. He had African Americans for Obama. He had preachers for Obama. He had all these different categories with different messaging that spoke to each one. And that's just the thing. The mistake we make is a Gen Xer is trying to have a conversation with a millennial about voting. We need to find millennials who are bought in to have those conversations, because I have to admit that I don't speak the same language. Right. As passionate as I might be, and I'm one of the people who, I have 5 college chapters in D.C. that I go train all the time. I have 6 college chapters here in Maryland, and I have another 8 in Virginia. So I'm always on college campuses, but I'm not the one training. I'm preparing the young people to actually have the voice. And so now I'm creating those leaders. And we have to, one of the things I say when I train, and I'm completely changing the subject, but I ask people when they come into any organization or into any door, why are you here?
Yes.
You have to get a person to tell their story. And if you can get a person to tell their story, even when they get frustrated, you can take them back to the reason why they're here. And if they tell their story enough, now you can put them up to tell their story to people who are their age or who are their religion or who are their sex, or, to make people feel comfortable in a room and make it cool or whatever it has to be to get people activated. I hold a very, very strong, I hold the church very responsible. How's that?
Okay.
I've had some very hard conversations with pastors who are not involved in the election process. I have gone as far on social media to say, if your pastor is not talking about civic engagement and voting rights and all those things across the pulpit, you might want to consider another church. If your pastor doesn't have his community going out to knock on the doors of the people in the community of the church, so we have to be more.
Are you stirring up trouble now?
You know me.
I'm playing. Yes. Hey.
And I've been I can't even say it. I can't
Millennial.
Even,
See, and that's because God knows. God knows.
I've been a millennial for 28 years.
Right. Okay.
But we have to challenge ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I often go back and it's hard to talk about the history because people don't want to hear the history, but you have to know the history to know where you're going in some cases.
That's true.
We are not willing to sacrifice anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The Montgomery bus boycott, those people didn't have rides to work when they stopped catching the bus. They had to figure it out.
Yeah.
But we won't stop eating McDonald's for our own health.
Whoa.
Like we have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop being so comfortable. And sometimes we have to talk to people who don't look like us, sound like us, smell like us, who might not sleep with the folks we think that they should sleep with. We can't be so judgmental that we can't help folks.
That's true. So true.
So it's a very harsh judgment, but it's also a challenge to step outside of the box of what you call normal, or step outside of the box of what you call being comfortable, and actually do some real work.
Well, I thank you. Did you have
I was just thinking about there's a different shift of a type of candidate that millennials go after too. They don't go after the traditional candidate. Now they're going for a more progressive person and people who are more inclusive about decision making. And so when you're talking to these millennials, you want to make sure that you're pushing all the candidates and making them aware and not forcing them.
Right.
I think for so long, it's been this, oh, mama told me to do this, so I'm doing it, opposed to let me give you some options and you make an educated decision based on what you've been presented.
And I think now this year, and I'm gonna kind of end with this, and I want both of you guys to please give your information on how we can follow you, and if we have more questions, and what we need to do also with for you, Brittany, how we go and we vote and what we need to look for when we go to vote for you. But I was been doing, as you can hear, research about this, and I think I understand now too that you can't just go and say Democrat or a Republic and then it just fills in for you. You have to be more specific. Is that correct, Jonathan?
You have to be an educated voter.
Okay.
So no straight.
No straight parties anymore, correct?
Not anymore, no.
Okay. All right. Well, Jonathan, so how can we contact you if we need to ask more questions, get involved, become a part of the NAACP?
Well, I have a few different ways you can contact me. My NAACP email address is kind of complicated, but I'll give it to you.
Okay.
J McKinney, so JMCKINNEY at NAACPNET.org. So that's J McKinney at NAACPnet.org. If you are interested in joining the NAACP, if you send me some information, I'll definitely point you in the right direction as far as the local branch in your area. Personally, I'm actually on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not that. I am an old person.
No, millennial, you couldn't be. No.
Yeah, I admit it.
You're not old though, Jonathan. You're making me feel old now because I think we're in the same category. So no, you're not old. You're just mature.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're
gonna go with that.
I'm not too hard to find. I believe on Instagram, I'm under Jam Unlimited, JAM Unlimited, and Facebook, my name, Jonathan McKinney.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for being on the go with us today. And I will, for those who are watching via YouTube, all of the information you see now at the bottom of your screen. It's time out for playing games. So we really need to get involved in our lives. Stop allowing life to happen to you and allow life to happen for you by you being engaged. I did not do the word of the day. I did not forget it. And today's word of the day is get engaged. Get engaged. So many times we think that life does just happen to us, and it doesn't. we happen to life. Do we need to have faith in God? Absolutely. Do we want to have his will done versus our will? Yes, that is a scripture. Allow thy will to be done, not my will, Lord. However, in doing that, faith without works is dead, which means there is a level of action that is needed or necessary on you to be able to do for God to do the rest. You take one step and he'll do the rest, but get engaged and motivated in your life today. Stop existing, start living. Once you take the first step to actually live and live life out loud, which means being bold and unapologetic and very, intentional with what you do, which means becoming educated before going to the polls, then you'll see God do an amazing exploits in your life and in the lives of others around you, and then you will see a change. But you have to be engaged. That is the word of the day. Brittany Sharp.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Please tell us how we can find you and what we need to do to make the Sharp vote.
Exactly. So for the Sharp vote, they actually changed the name of the district, Detroit Public Schools, to Detroit Public Schools Community District. So on the ballot, you're going to see Detroit Community District. And so that's where my name would be under that. There's 9 candidates, and you can choose one other candidate opposed to me. But my website is thesharpvote.com. Sharp as in SHARP, THE, sharpvote.com. You can find me on Facebook as Brittany Sharp, BRITNEY SHARP, and on Instagram, Brittany Sharp. But if you go to thesharpvote.com, you'll find all other information as well as my phone number, 313-671-5423. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for having me.
No, thank you,
Jonathan. It was nice meeting you, and I'll be following you soon on social media.
Okay, see, you got to follow her, Jonathan.
Is he still there?
No, I think he's gone.
Well,
he did. Please make sure that you go out to the polls this November 6th, which is Tuesday. The polls open up at 7 a.m. and it goes until 8 p.m. in your local area. So please make sure all of the information, of course, you've been able to see at the bottom for Brittany and Jonathan. If you want to reach out to either of them, please make sure that you follow them on their social media outlets. And up next, we will have our business spotlight with one of my favorite sponsors, no other than Sprint Business. Yeah, Sprint is doing big things because if you remember Can You Hear Me Now? He's no longer hearing him now. He's hearing Sprint. And he's doing great things for now Sprint. And they are one of my providers. And they have some amazing plans and options and specials and things coming up. We're entering into the holiday season. So we will be speaking to Elizabeth Jones, who is one of the ones head spearing for Sprint Business. You're listening to On the Go with Tiffany Patton, your link to life, love, and liberty. We'll be right back.
24 Grill, located inside the Western Book Cadillac Hotel in Detroit, presents a casual approach to fine dining and the best ambiance in the city. Come witness it for yourself. For more information, call 313-964-3821 or visit the website at 24grill.com.
And we're back. You're listening to On the Go with Tiffany Patton, your link to love, life, and liberty, and you're watching us as well. And I told you I have just amazing people that I love to surround myself around, and I'm so excited because it's also one of our sponsors and partners. We just love Sprint, okay? Because as you can see, I'm gonna have my phone, and the reason why I have a case is because it's the 10 and I don't want to drop it and break it. And she literally, this woman is amazing. She got me set up here, with my iPad and my iPhone, and she did it so effortlessly. And I just love people who not only do what they do, but they enjoy what they do, because it comes with a different passion and you understand. And she did it, and she was like, listen, I can get you straight. And I was like, please straighten me out, because I was an Android girl, so I had no clue about the Apple. Android is still cool with me, but I had to get on the good foot with Apple. And so she has done that, and she helped me switch from another carrier. We're not going to name no names. And she just does, yes.
Verizon.
Yeah. Just does an amazing job at what she does. And by me being a business, she specializes in those who have businesses and are entrepreneurs. And I am so glad to present to you Elizabeth Jones. She is, I want to say, a Sprint cellular extraordinaire. I don't even know really what else to call you, but
thank you, Tiffany.
She is, but she does her work really, really well, because a lot of times people switch and they don't really know what they're switching to. They didn't need help. They don't know what plan. They knew the plans that where they were, but they don't understand, how to get the most bang for their buck. And you have all of that knowledge. So welcome to On the Go with Sprint. And tell us just a little bit about your position, because this is our business section, to where we try to educate those who are in business and or help them provide them with products for their business. And definitely being mobile is something that all business owners, whether entrepreneur or business owner, need. So tell us a little bit about what Sprint is doing right now to help, because I was someone who was not satisfied with where I was, and I was looking for a change.
Right.
And the change ended up being Sprint.
Yeah.
So tell us about the amazing things that you guys have going on.
So first of all, thank you, Tiffany,
You're
for having me on the show today.
Sprint.
Definitely excited about this opportunity to be promoted here before your peers and your crowd and your the people that you represent. And I'm very excited. Very exciting times right now here at Sprint. We had gone through a lot of changes with our network. We've ripped and replaced the network. We're a whole new company than where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 1 year ago. We're constantly making changes. And as you mentioned, I work for the business team. I'm a territory manager for Sprint Business here for the Michigan area. There's executives out in, all 50 states where you can contact your local rep to be a representative to you. But yes, I'm here to pretty much just bring awareness in everything that we do, because most people think that we're just a cellular company. We sell phones, we sell tablets, we sell devices, and we have plans. But as you mentioned, with technology and mobility, companies are managing their companies on the go.
That's
like
good.
Tiffany on the go.
Yes.
And so there's so many solutions. We have actually over 200 solutions that we customize for businesses to help with efficiencies, to drive out costs, and really to get rid of that expensive IT overhead costs that I'm helping customers with and meeting with clients daily.
Okay, so helping businesses get on the go. Doing that, what are some of the products that you have that will help streamline people and their businesses?
Right, absolutely. So we have different things as far as collaboration tools with Office 365. If you've updated, if you haven't made that switch and gone to the cloud, we have some different options for you, as like Google Suites and cloud collaboration with Office 365 to be able to get that integrated with your remote workforce. We also have mobile forms. So if you have a process that you're automating, bookkeeping, invoicing, you're out in the field, you're working with your customers, we're going to help you to automate those processes and digitize those, put those on your mobile devices. So have an application right there on your phone, right there on your tablet, where you can open that up, finish that order, get that invoice over to your partner, your supplier, to be able to cut back on time, cut back on resources, and essentially you're going to be putting more money back into the business. Some of the other things that we do provide is fleet solutions. So if you have a truck out there, your assets out there in the field that you need to track, you're wondering where your truck is, where that product is. You want to talk about driver safety, location, being able to just track your assets. We're going to have those fleet solutions for you. And a lot of these solutions that we have cost little money. Like, it's cost efficient. We're talking about $15 a month on your $20,000 fleet inventory. And so the return on the investment is incredible, and I'm pretty excited about that. So we're doing things in the fleet industry. We also have several solutions when it comes to, as we mentioned, cell phones and tablets. And so being able to communicate with your remote workforce. Like back in the day, a lot of people know us from our Nextel with the two-way chirp. We had, back in the day. Yep. And that
even though I'm young.
Absolutely. And so we have solutions like that where now it's an actual application on the phone where you could just do a two-way chirp, group text messaging, enterprise text messaging, and to be able to really manage those mobile devices, to be able to effectively maximize all of the features and benefits that you have with your mobile devices are some of the things that we have here going on at Sprint. And as I mentioned, we have over 200 solutions. And so my goal is to learn more about your business, learn what you're doing today. And so I like to go out and meet with my clients, understand what you're doing today, how you're doing business today, and where I can fit in there and be a resource for you to help to simplify that process, help you be more efficient, save time here, maybe get rid of some, like I said, some of that expensive overhead IT costs that's going to help your business to grow and be more successful.
And a lot of people say that, but they don't really mean it. It's just words.
Right.
And I will say, with my experience with Elizabeth, she is literally a person who, what she says, she means, and she'll do. Like, down to a lot of times when you're in business and you have a cell phone provider, it's more so like, for me, it just feels like you're going and you're paying your money and that's it. There's not a real relationship unless, maybe sometimes you see the same person when you go in and make your payment or however.
Right.
But there is, with Sprint Business, there's a real relationship that I can say that I have with them. Like, I can call Elizabeth. She probably doesn't want me to call her any time of day, but I can call her. And then, when she wanted to meet to talk about, really what my needs were business-wise, she took me out to lunch. I was like, okay, now don't everybody get too happy and try to just go out to lunch. But that's just how dedicated she is to her clients. So you definitely want to make sure if you're looking for a switch or a change, and even if you're not looking for a switch or a change, I'm telling you, you need to probably change, because Sprint Business is definitely one of the finest services, programs that I have seen to date. And here, I'm just even going to say this so it doesn't just seem like, oh, she has to say that. No, really, I don't. Because I used to be with Sprint like long time ago. They really have changed. And it wasn't like an issue. It was just me trying to find, was it cheaper? Was it this? Was it that? Different things, different phases in your life. You need different things for different reasons. So I left. But I regretfully left, because what I left for wasn't really what I wanted. So I ended up coming back. And I'm so glad that I did, because Sprint Business, Sprint really has evolved, I want to say,
Yes.
and with so many different features and things that they are able to provide for you. It's actually absolutely amazing. And then down to even the plans. There's one of the plans, because I'm unlimited, because I'm on the go, and you guys are always seeing me on social media, and I'm always doing different things, so I have to be. But now they have like even a new one, which I'm still going to talk to her offline about, because I don't have, because I think I want.
Oh.
But it looks like it adds Prime for Amazon.
Absolutely.
Oh, we know I love Prime. Okay, so there's little things like that are added, even down to Uber. There's different things. So they have relationships
Hulu.
with. See, Hulu, Tidal. And I got that too, Hulu, and I'm watching Hulu because of them. I'm just saying.
Empire.
Oh, gotcha. And that's why I love Hulu, because I can like check up on the things that I miss, because I'm on the go, and I normally do miss a lot, but Hulu has helped me big time. But that was all through Sprint. Of course, you can get some of these services on your own, but why not just bundle it and have just a one-stop shop where you have everything that you need with an amazing company, and with a person who actually truly cares and really has a passion. It's not just like a sales thing for her. Like, she lives, eats, and breathes this thing. And this is a good thing. And you definitely want to have someone who really cares and has integrity. So I'm so glad that I know Elizabeth, and you need to know Elizabeth too. Tell us about with the holiday seasons coming up. I know you have a few promotions.
Yeah,
what are some of the promotions that you have?
So right now we have promotions on pretty much all of our devices. Just depends on what your needs are. As we mentioned, we're going to customize it. So depending on what your needs are, when it comes to a fleet solution like the one that I was mentioning, if you have one car, if you have one truck that you have out in the field, if you have several hundreds in the field, we have solutions as low as $16.49. That's included with your data plan, and that's per month for your fleet solutions to totally take control of your fleet. When you're looking at cell phones, I have free devices. I have free cell phones. I have free iPhones. I have free tablets where I'm going to give you half off of your rate plan. We're talking about as low as $15 for an unlimited rate plan for a brand new tablet. When you're looking at iPhone 7, 8, and the X, right now, buy one, get one on us. And so let me know what you need. There's unlimited supply, and we'd love to get those orders in for you. Some other things that we're doing here when it comes to creating your business, like a lot of people, maybe in the beginning stages, I've met with a lot of business owners who are like very new. I was at a business the other day, and I won't say the name, but they're painting. They're still painting and putting up the business, and we're in there. We're talking about internet. We're talking about business continuity. So what happens if your internet goes down? Does everybody go on a break? Or do you have to wait for the internet to come up? We have a solution for that. $6 a month, where you're going to be able to keep your business up and running with business continuity. And so we have a lot of things that we're doing that's excited for the upcoming for this fourth quarter, going into Christmas. And as Tiffany mentioned, we have several different plans. And so, hey, one of the things that I really love about Sprint is, hey, you can bring your own device. So say you're with a different carrier, we're going to see if you can bring your own device over, and then that's going to give you an additional discount off your rate plan. So we're talking about as low as $20 now, because now you don't even have to switch phones. You like your phone? Fine. Nice. We can use your phone. And so those are the conversations that we have when we meet with you. And then a lot of our different applications that I mentioned, I know, like for you with the Sprint multi-line, you can have your personal phone for work and for business. Have you been using that application?
Not as much as I need to. Actually, I need, and we're gonna talk, because I need to get it going the right way. But listen, I really do need that line though, because I need I have several businesses. So the one business has to be on one line, and then the other business needs to be on the other line. And a lot of times we do Google Voice. And to take nothing away from Google Voice, however, the multi-line is needed. And the reason is this. I don't think people down Google Voice at all, but there's a different level of professionalism when you hear a ring versus, hold on, let me search for your party, and then they hear it, because then everybody automatically knows, oh, that's Google Voice. That's not a real business line. So you want to be as professional as possible. You want to put your best foot forward when you are starting a business. I mean, mine is a new business. You may have a new business, and I have the business that I've been doing ongoing, which has allowed me to meet some really great people like Elizabeth. So if that is you definitely want to make sure that you obtain that particular addition to your line. The multi-line is an amazing product. It keeps you professional, it keeps you honest, and it keeps you with the same one phone. You don't have to have multiple phones. I mean, unless you like to have multiple phones, they can definitely assist you with that. But if you just want to have one phone and it's like too much to kind of try to manage one and two, literally there's a ring, and you will be able to see that there's a difference. She has it as well, so you know. And sometimes you just want your personal line and then maybe your business line. You can do it that way, but it makes it to where you don't have to do too much, and less is more. And we want to make sure that we minimalize everything that we're doing going into the new year, because God has some great things in store for us. We just gotta get our things in alignment, and definitely connecting with a Sprint business. We'll be doing that, so you can get on the go with Sprint and have some amazing things on the go, while on the go, and while on the go, make it seamless. And that way you can still check your business, you can still receive your business calls, you can still make sure that your trucks and your drivers are doing what they need to do, all while being on the go. And that you can definitely do with Sprint.
Now, I did want to add something that I forgot to mention is that I'm having I'm losing my train of thought.
Okay, that's okay. And so she has definitely something that
gonna come back to me.
No, and it's fine. No, Sprint has a way that they can literally make sure that because I have a few products. So a lot of times when you have multiple products, you're like, okay, well, I don't even know what's my bill. I literally get a ding when the new billing, because I'm paperless. Now, those who want paper, they'll send you your bill, but they also have the paperless billing to where that way, while you're on the go, if you want to know what your bill is, you want to pay online, they have all of those features. You can set up automatic payment. I mean, just so many different features and additions to Sprint as to it making your business more efficient. And so Elizabeth also has...
Yes, I remember my thought now. So say for instance, you already have an account with Sprint. Hey, I'm already with Sprint and I have a business. Great, I want to talk to you. So you can get your individual account, which is called an IL account, switched over to a corporate liability account. So that is something that I am doing. Now, you want to make sure that we're going to go through and do a rate plan analysis, make sure that you're getting the best rate plan. We're going to make sure that we update your devices, and then we're going to talk about what other business solutions how can we maximize this business account relationship. So for the business owners that are looking to grow, take their business to another level, be able to again be more efficient and to drive cost out of the business, I definitely want to speak to you. Contact someone in your nearest Sprint provider in your area, and we'd love to get on the phone, get out and meet with you and help you with those different type of needs.
See, so I told you I had an amazing person for our business segment, and it is no other than the partners of On the Go with Tiffany Patton, Sprint Business, Elizabeth Jones. She is a person, if you're watching and listening and you are in another state, you can still contact her.
Please.
She'll put you into contact with the right persons for you to be able to get your personal switched over to a business, or if you just want to switch over from another company or another carrier, she has the abilities to do things that you can't do. She also has the ability, let me show you how much power she got. She got also the ability to do things that some people in the store cannot do.
Absolutely.
She is the golden child. You want to make sure that you contact Elizabeth. Elizabeth, give us your information on how we can contact you.
Okay, so I can be reached by email at elizabeth.jones@sprint.com. That's ELIZABETH.JONES@sprint.com. You can also reach me on my work phone at 248-259-7084.
And if you're watching, of course, you see her information at the bottom of the screen. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. What we're going to do is go on a quick break. Please make sure that you follow Elizabeth Jones. And are you on social media as well?
Yes, I do have a Facebook page, a Sprint Biz Solutions under Elizabeth Business Consulting.
Elizabeth Business Consulting. Make sure that you do that. She's gotten me straight. She can get you straight too, all the while being on the go. Next, we have our last segment of the day, which is On the Go to the Show. And why are you going to the show this weekend? Well, Tyler Perry is going to have you guys all in stitches. That will be up next. You're listening to On the Go with Tiffany Patton, your link to love, life, and liberty. We'll be right back.
24 Grill, located inside the Western Book Cadillac Hotel in Detroit, presents a casual approach to fine dining and the best ambiance in the city. Come witness it for yourself. For more information, call 313-964-3821 or visit the website at 24grill.com.
And we're back. You're listening to On the Go with Tiffany Patton, your link to love, life, and liberty right here. And you can also see us now. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. And this segment that we're going into is one that is near and dear because, of course, this is on the go. So, of course, I'm going to send you somewhere. So this is affectionately called On the Go to the show. Now, why are we going to the show? It's the movies, okay? This weekend, you definitely need to check out something by Tyler Perry. That's right. Tyler Perry has a brand new movie coming out this weekend. Comes out today, and that is Nobody's Fool. He has brought together the likes of Amari Hardrick, Tiffany Haddish, Tika Sumpter. Now, you may know her from the Have and Have Nots, and no other than comedian legend Whoopi Goldberg. That's right. He has brought her back to the main screen for this hilarious movie that talks basically about the life of dating and what can happen when you get catfish. This is Nobody's Fool. Up next, here's the previews, and make sure that you see this movie this weekend. And one thing I want to make sure that you do when you get on the go to the show, make sure that you check your ticket stubs to make sure that you have the one that says the right movie name, because when you don't do that, they don't get the credit. So without further ado, here is the trailer to Nobody's Fool.
I'm Tiffany Haddish. Some of you Caucasians may recognize me from the Oscars. Check out the trailer for our new movie, Nobody's Fool.
If I close this deal, I'll be the first Black woman to be a VP in the company. Hi, Mom.
Hey, darling. Listen, it's your sister. She's getting out. If you could pick her up, I'd appreciate it.
What time?
What time? Honey, it's jail. You get there when you can, like the song said.
Hey, girl, hey! Free ass, free ass! I'm about to go out here and shake this ass. Can we go to the club? Ooh, this is nice. They don't smell like roaches in here or nothing. How you get sparkles in the back of an animal? What is this, a Care Bear? I need a job.
Why don't you just work here?
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, that is so dope. Where it say sex, what you want me to put right there?
What you want to put?
Plenty.
I like sexes from my exes. My sister is a bit much.
How can I help you?
I do what they say.
You've been standing in line all this time and you don't know what you want. Okay, you could just stand right there and think about it. Who is this?
Charlie.
Charlie.
He is an amazing guy. She met him online a year ago, but she's never even seen him.
It seemed too good to be true.
If the man looks too good to be true, he is. You're being catfished.
So the dude ain't real?
No, the dude ain't real. It could be anybody.
We need to go and find this son of a bitch who catfished me.
And we gonna tear his ass up.
This should be good. Like that. I'm district in the town. Is she serious?
Girl, I got his address. We gonna do this tonight. We gonna need a saw, some plastic, burner foam.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
That's good. You need to go ahead and let all the liquids out because you don't want to leave no DNA.
You're not helping.
Every time you try to kill a man, you're gonna squirt a little pee. I know that for sure. Mama, it's Tanya.
Who?
It's Tanya.
Oh no, Tonya no here.
Mama, I know it's you.
This connection is so rickety. Hello?
What? Mama, you in the window.
I'm sorry, what?
We not on no cell phone, Mama.
I can't hear you, baby. I can't hear. Oh my.
Mama.
And that was Nobody's Fool, and it is out in theaters today. So make sure that you go on the go, at the show, to the show this weekend. I mean, if you want a great laugh, great food, and get to see Whoopi Goldberg back on the main screen. And if those who did not see on The View the other day, there's kind of a hint to a Sister Act 3, I believe, and I think Tyler Perry is a part of that. So we're beginning to see much more of Whoopi Goldberg on the main screen. I thank you so much. I'd like to thank all of our guests, Jonathan McKinney from the NAACP Mid-Atlantic Regional Director, Field Director, and as well as Brittany Sharp. The Sharp vote. She is the candidate to look to when it comes to the Detroit Public School Board. They have a new name. It is the Detroit Public School Community. So when you see Detroit Public Community on your ballot, that is where you will find her and many others. There are 2 slots available. The Sharp vote, she's definitely someone who is engaged and really cares about not just the position, but the kids. And it really is all about the kids if you are in the Detroit metropolitan area, as well as our great friends over at Sprint Business, Elizabeth Jones. If you are looking to take your business to the next level, you definitely wanted to do that with Sprint. Sprint Business has evolved and is now innovative, and you definitely want to go ahead and make that switch. Please make sure that you check the bottom of the screen and contact Elizabeth Jones this weekend. I thank you so much for being on the go. Next week, we have no other than Dr. Ian Smith. If his name sounds familiar, it's because he has been a part of a Celebrity Fitness, as well as you've seen him like a lot on Rachel Ray. And he has a new book, and the book is here. It is called The Ancient Nine. I will be talking to him live right here, and we'll be speaking to him about this new book and why it is headed toward New York Times bestseller. This is definitely a page turner. With that being said, I am giving away 1 copy. If you are interested in receiving this copy, please send your contact information to me and say, I want The Ancient Nine. And that is on the go, diva1@gmail.com. On the go, DIVIA, the number 1@gmail.com. And we'll make sure to see if you are picked to get your copy. I thank you so much for being on the go with me today. Please make sure that you follow me on Instagram, On The Go TP, and on Facebook, On The Go with Tiffany Patton podcast and TV show. I thank you so much for watching, and please remember to sow love and show love, because there's someone who needs you exactly the way you are. Until next time.